You already know what you need to do, you have known for a while. But you are still thinking about it, and that is not preparation. It is avoidance wearing a very convincing disguise. This video is not about how to think less. It is about what overthinking is actually protecting you from, and why part of you does not want to know. Some people do not suffer because they think too little. They suffer because they cannot stop thinking. Their mind is always moving, always analyzing, always preparing for something that may never happen. They replay conversations that ended hours ago. They imagine problems before they arrive. They search for meanings in silence, danger in small changes, rejection in delayed replies, failure in every uncertain step. And from the outside, this can look like intelligence, it can look like depth, it can look like awareness. But sometimes, what we call thinking is not really thinking. Sometimes, it is fear wearing the mask of wisdom. This is the overthinking paradox. The more you think, the less you live. Not because thought is bad, not because the mind is the enemy, but because a mind that never rests can slowly turn life into something you observe, analyze, and postpone, instead of something you actually enter. You begin to believe that if you think long enough, you will finally be safe. If you examine every possibility, you will avoid pain. If you prepare for every outcome, you will never be caught off guard. If you understand everything before you move, you will never make the wrong choice. But life does not wait for perfect certainty. And while the mind is still trying to calculate the safest way to live, life is already happening without you. There is a strange comfort in overthinking. It gives you the feeling that you are doing something. You may not be acting, but you are thinking about acting. You may not be changing, but you are analyzing why change is difficult. You may not be speaking honestly, but you are imagining every possible reaction someone could have if you did. So the mind feels busy, and because it feels busy, it feels useful. But not everything that occupies the mind liberates the self. Sometimes the mind becomes a room with no doors, and every thought is another circle around the same walls. You think about what you should have said, then you think about why you did not say it. Then you think about what this says about you. Then you think about whether thinking about it so much means something is wrong with you. And before you realize it, a simple moment has turned into a private universe of interpretation. This is where overthinking becomes more than a habit. It becomes a way of living at a distance from life. You are there but not fully there. You are with people, but part of you is watching yourself from the outside. You are making a decision, but part of you is already grieving the version of life you might lose by choosing one path over another. You are trying to rest, but the mind treats silence like danger. And perhaps this is one of the deepest reasons overthinking is so exhausting. It does not only fill the mind, it removes you from the present. A moment can only be lived once, but the overactive mind tries to live every moment many times. Before the moment, it worries. During the moment, it monitors. After the moment, it replays. And here is what no one says clearly enough. You were not there for any of it. The worry happened before the moment. The monitoring happened during. The replay happened after. But the moment itself, the actual moment, passed through you like a room you forgot to enter. You no longer meet life directly. You meet your interpretation of life. The Stoics understood one of the mind's most difficult truths. We are not disturbed only by what happens, but by the judgments we build around what happens. An event happens once, but a mind that has not learned to release its grip can return to that event 1,000 times, each time adding new weight, new accusation, new proof of danger. A look, a sentence, a delay, a mistake. The world gives you one moment. The mind constructs an entire architecture of meaning around it, and then moves in. What the Stoics called paralysis, the faculty of choice, the inner citadel, is precisely this: the capacity to decide which thoughts deserve your obedience and which do not. Not to suppress thought, but to stop treating every thought as a command. This is where most people remain trapped. They assume that because a thought is loud, it must be important. Because it returns often, it must be true. Because it feels intense, it must be a warning. But the mind can repeat what it has not healed. It can exaggerate what it fears. It can turn uncertainty into threat and silence into rejection. A thought can feel urgent and still be false. A fear can feel intelligent and still be avoidance. A memory can feel like a lesson and still be a wound asking for attention. This is why overthinking often feels so personal. It usually gathers around the places where we feel least safe. We overthink the conversation because we fear being misunderstood. We overthink the decision because we fear regret. We overthink the future because we fear that we are not prepared for who life may ask us to become. So ask yourself something uncomfortable. When was the last time you entered a conversation without rehearsing it first? When was the last time you let something be uncertain without immediately trying to resolve it? If you cannot remember, that is the answer. At the surface, it looks like analysis. Underneath, it is often protection. The mind is trying to protect you from pain, but it uses an old method. Control everything before it can hurt you, and that is where protection becomes a cage. Because the more you try to control life mentally, the less you are able to meet it honestly. You cannot fully love while constantly preparing for loss. You cannot fully choose while constantly preparing for criticism. Overthinking promises safety, but often gives paralysis. It promises clarity, but often creates fog. It promises preparation, but often becomes avoidance. And perhaps the most painful part is this: it can make you feel like you are failing, when in reality, you may simply be afraid. Afraid of choosing, being seen, being wrong. Afraid of discovering that the life you imagined and the life in front of you are not the same. So the mind keeps thinking, because thinking delays the moment of contact. As long as you are thinking about the thing, you do not have to enter the thing. While you are preparing to speak, you do not have to be vulnerable. As you are analyzing your purpose, you do not have to take the first imperfect step. This is the hidden function of overthinking. It does not only search for truth, sometimes it protects you from movement. And movement is dangerous to the ego because movement changes things. A decision changes things. An honest conversation changes things. A boundary changes things. A beginning changes things. Even peace can change things. Because when you stop living in mental noise, you may finally hear what your life has been trying to tell you. That is why silence can feel uncomfortable. Many people say they want peace, but when peace appears, they do not know what to do with it. Without noise, there is no distraction. Without constant thought, feelings rise to the surface. The grief you intellectualized, the loneliness you explained away, the desire you called unrealistic, the fear you kept dressing up as logic. Overthinking keeps the mind busy enough to avoid the deeper room, but the deeper room does not disappear. It waits. And some part of you already knows what is in that room. You have always known. The overthinking is not confusion. It is the sound of someone pacing outside a door they are not ready to open. The mind is a precise instrument, but even the sharpest instrument becomes dangerous when it cannot be put down. The mind is useful when it helps you see clearly. When it starts cutting every experience into smaller and smaller pieces, nothing remains whole. A friendship becomes a set of signals to decode. A dream becomes a list of risks. A simple mistake becomes proof of identity. And slowly, life becomes less like a river and more like a case study. You are no longer living. You are constantly trying to understand whether you are living correctly. This is one of the quiet tragedies of the overthinking mind. It wants to get life right so badly that it forgets to participate in it. It wants certainty before love, confidence before action, healing before honesty, a perfect plan before beginning. But life rarely gives certainty first. Often it gives a step, then another, then a correction, then a lesson, then a fall, then a deeper kind of strength. The overthinking mind wants to see the whole staircase before it moves. But some parts of the path only appear after you begin walking. So what actually changes anything? Not more analysis, not a better framework, not understanding overthinking so deeply that it finally stops. Because here is what the overthinking mind does not want to accept. Understanding is not the same as moving, and you can spend a lifetime understanding why you are still. This is why the solution is not to attack the mind. Fighting the mind often creates more mind. You think about how to stop thinking. Then you judge yourself for still thinking. Then you analyze why you cannot stop judging yourself. The cage simply changes shape. A softer way begins with noticing that a thought is present and fear is underneath it. Noticing that the mind is trying to protect you. Noticing that you do not have to follow every path it opens. There is a difference between having a thought and becoming a thought. A thought can pass through you like weather, but when you identify with it completely, it becomes your sky. Self-awareness begins in that small space between the thought and the one who sees it. This space may seem small at first, almost invisible, but it is where freedom begins. Because if you can observe a thought, then you are not only the thought. If you can see fear rising, then fear is not the whole of you. If you can notice the urge to control everything, then something in you is already freer than the urge. This is not dramatic. It is not instant. It is quiet. It is the moment you say, I am thinking again, instead of this thought is reality. The moment you pause before obeying the old mental pattern. The moment you choose action over another hour of analysis. And perhaps this is what the overthinking mind needs most. Not more answers and theories. Not a perfect explanation for every fear. But the willingness to live with some questions unanswered. To begin the work before feeling ready. To let a moment be simple. To stop asking every thought for permission to move. Because not every silence is rejection. Not every uncertainty is a sign that you are lost. Thoughts are not always a command. Some thoughts are just old fears asking for your attention in the only language they know. And when you begin to see this, the mind becomes less of a prison and more of a messenger. You can listen without surrendering, reflect without disappearing, prepare without postponing your life, think deeply without living only in thought. The mind wants to think its way into freedom, but freedom often begins when you stop waiting for the mind to give you permission to live. Overthinking circles the same fear. Wisdom sees the fear and still takes a step. Overthinking demands certainty. Wisdom accepts reality. Overthinking tries to control life before entering it. Wisdom enters life and learns through contact. This is the real paradox. Not that thought is the enemy, but that the mind left without guidance will use its greatest gift, the ability to imagine, to keep you from the only thing imagination cannot replace, the actual life in front of you. The conversation you keep delaying, the work you keep planning, the choice you keep circling, the truth you already know but keep asking your mind to reconsider. At some point, life asks for more than thought. It asks for presence and participation. It asks for one honest step. And maybe the question is not how to stop thinking forever. Maybe the question is simpler. What part of your life have you been trying to think your way out of when what it really needs is for you to finally enter it? Because the mind can explain the door. It can measure the door. It can fear what may be behind the door. It can imagine 10,000 versions of what happens after the door opens. But only you can walk through. And perhaps on the other side you will discover that life was never asking you to have every answer. It was only asking you to stop waiting until you did. If this reflection spoke to something you have been living quietly, stay with the veiled truth. There is always more beneath the thoughts we mistake for ourselves. And sometimes, the beginning of freedom is not another answer. It is the moment you finally stop thinking about life long enough to live it.